now start with the second session of the day. This session is devoted to space and ground-based assets. To chair the session, we are honored to have Lieutenant General Suneet Kumar, Director General Information Systems. Welcome, sir. Lieutenant General Sumeet Kumar, commissioned in the Corps of Signals, is presently serving as Director General Information Systems at Integrated Headquarters of MOD since 2011. The General Officer is an alumnus of Defence Services Staff College, Wellington, and National Defence College, Delhi. During his illustrious career, the General Officer has held a variety of regimental, command, and staff appointments. He commanded a divisional signal regiment in a strike corps and was later Chief Signal Officer of another strike corps. Some of the key assignments tenanted by the General Officer are Senior Staff Officer Operations at Force Headquarters in UN Mission, Somalia, Director in Military Operations Directorate at Army Headquarters, and Directing Staff at Higher Command Wing in Army War College, Mao. As Director General Information Systems, he is responsible for conceptualization, development, and implementation of various operational information system, management information system, and geographical information system projects, besides spearheading the overall automation in order to achieve net centricity in the Indian Army as per its IT roadmap. The esteemed speakers for the session are Lieutenant General Davinder Kumar, former Signal Officer-in-Chief, who will speak on the challenges of a digital battlefield. Lieutenant General Rajesh Pant, Commandant, Military College of Telecommunication Engineering, MAU, who will speak on security of network systems. Colonel Arif Shauki, Vice President, National Security and Defense, Cisco Systems, India and SAARC, who will brief us on tactical communication systems. Mr. Jayesh Shah, Senior Principal Engineer, DRS Tactical Systems, who will give a presentation on enhancing battle management on the move. Air Vice Marshal A.K. Tiwari, who will speak on unmanned aerial vehicles and unmanned combat aerial vehicles. Over to the chairperson.
General DC Katoch, Additional Director Clause, distinguished panelists on the dais, senior serving and retired defense officers, members from the industry, media, publications, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to everybody. I feel really honored to have been given the chance to chair this session this afternoon, and especially when I am sandwiched between very, very learned people on the dais. I don't think I should have been chairing the session to start with, but since General DC Katoch came to me all the way about a fortnight back, sir, I couldn't say no because it is a clause sponsored, and very distinguished retired senior officers, when he comes and requests, I had no face to say no at that stage. Thank you very much, sir. Let me say at the outset that digitization of battlefield is very dear to us in the Directorate General of Information Systems in the Army. For almost 2 to 3 decades, people like General Devendra Kumar, who have been the pioneers in his own days, as the then Additional Director General Tax 3I, General Rajesh Pant himself as a ADG Information Systems in the same headquarters, are fully aware as to what goes in, day out, what kind of problems we are confronted with in our efforts to digitize the battlefield for the Indian Army. General PC Katoch, himself the old DG of the Director General Information System, they have been confronting these challenges for decades altogether. The good thing is that we have made major headway now. I think we have crossed that takeoff point, having achieved the success in the phase 1. So Indian Army today is well versed with the nuances involved in the digitization of battlefield. Where does the challenge lie? And probably the solutions that are required to overcome them. There are multiple solutions available today. The industry is quite capable. We have the projects on the anvil where the industry is involved to address those issues. But where they'll be really implementable in the Indian conditions, in the Indian Army's, I would say, operational philosophy, is a moot point. Purely by technological solutions, we have been seeing it over a period of time that we haven't been able to get the solutions right. There have been wonderful solutions technologically, but when you look at them in your operational environment, when you try to synergize those things with our own systems in place, we are finding problems confronting us. So I'm sure this session will throw a lot of light on those aspects as to how really use that technology which is staring at us today, how Indian Army moves forward in its endeavor to have a real digitized battlefield right from the soldier and as you go up to the strategic domain. In our case, it's a asteroid. Most of you must be hearing this terminology for quite some time now, and when you grow and go to the headquarter IDS sponsored C4I2, so we have the entire range of challenges right from soldier upwards. And therefore the solutions in terms of security, in terms of GIS, the space-based systems, your ground-based systems, you name anything, is going to be discussed in the session. Without taking much of time, I think I'll now start with my first panelist, Lieutenant General retired Devendra Kumar. General Devendra Kumar, as you all probably know very well, a retired Signal Officer in Chief. He is a Premierist, Seva Medal, VSM Bar. After retirement from service as a Signal Officer in Chief, he took charge of, I would say, Tata Advanced Systems as his MD and CEO, and recently probably retired from there as well. He is one of those pioneers, if I may use the word, in the field of automation in the Indian Army. Not as the then ADG Taxi 3I, but later, or even during his career in different positions as ADG Tactical Communications in the Army Headquarters, DDG C Charlie in the MO Directorate, and later, of course, as a head of the Signals SONC. His span of achievements, ladies and gentlemen, range from anything to anything, if I may say very loosely. He has been in the advisory capacity with various task forces of the Government of India, National Disaster Management Authority, which was appointed by the Prime Minister in the first stage itself, recipient of 5 national awards, including the highest for the distinguished service of the most exceptional order. He has about 400 papers to his credit, a real pioneer and expert in the network-centric warfare. In fact, he has been teaching the community in the country on this aspect for a very long time now, as well as the information security. He has spoken at the premier institutions in the country and various international forums like RAND Corporations, ITU, World Battle Space Research Organization, Brookings Institute, Aspen Institute, Wharton University, and CSI Beijing, China. He is currently the MD of Hans Knowledge Management and Info Tech Solutions Private Limited. May I request you, sir? Oh my God.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure to be here to share my views on a very dear subject to my heart, that is digitization of the battlefield. I'm going to talk on challenges of a digitized battlefield. The first and the foremost challenge, of course, is that I'm the first speaker after lunch. so I hope I'm able to engage with you. And what I'm going to do is I am going to cover my presentation at a macro level. And then if there are any question answers at any level, I would be too happy to take that on. It's necessary to get the picture of a digitized battlefield, very aptly put as a subject of the seminar. I must congratulate the organization, General Katoch and Mr. Burnwal. It's a very topical thing, and I think we need to discuss this in fair amount of detail. Digitized battlefield, as you would know, is centric to the concept of network-centric warfare. In the current security paradigm, international borders have lost the meaning, and therefore the whole nation is the virtual battlefield that is existing today. And if that be so, that in any future conflict, all resources of the nation will come into play on day one. And this particular factor necessitates the integration of the services, paramilitary, government bodies, health, transportation, and all the works. And that is really is the back of a so-called digitized battlefield. The demands of digitization and massive deployment of information and communication technology is essential for achieving the capabilities of network-centric warfare in a digitized battlefield environment. Now let's just define what is a digitized battlefield. I've given two definitions. Digital battlefield could be considered as a combination of automated position location, communications, information, targeting and sensor systems to provide a common operating picture. Now here, the emphasis is on a common operating picture, so everybody really is on the same page as we say it. The philosophy of the digital battlefield is for the soldier to see and recognize the enemy before the latter has the same advantage. Umar said something about shooting first. This is what makes you shoot first. Now, digitizing the battlefield, which is the subject of today, is actually the application of information and communication technologies to acquire, exchange, and employ digital information in all its forms, video, text, audio, etc., throughout the battle space, tailored to meet the needs of each commander, shooter, and supporter, allowing each to maintain a clear, accurate view of the surrounding battle space necessary to support both planning and execution. It consists of three things primarily. One is the C4 ISR system, and the second is digital weapon platforms, and third is the digital soldier or digital forces. Digitized battlefield will depend on degree of integration of the technical components, and those I want you to understand because my talk will really relate to those, and those are computer processing, data and retrieval, advanced software and hardware, display systems, man-machine dialogue, or it's now we call HCI, a human-computer interface, sensors, communication networks, combat identification, positioning, and navigation systems. Digitizing a battlefield is a very complex and lengthy and expensive process. It requires a very high degree of commitment, focus, and vision of the emerging and future security paradigm and technologies. It presents unique and enormous challenge, each requiring synthesized effort of a number of agencies. Very, very important. Synthesized efforts of number of agencies. Well, I shall try and list some of the challenges in our context. It is for you all to decide where we stand with regard to this information age warfare in a digitized battlefield. The first challenge that we have is vision, policy, and roadmap. We need to have a comprehensive vision document at the national level, which draws out of the doctrine of warfare of the country. Based on that, we are supposed to be formulating and enunciating a policy and the roadmap which should be backed by all the stakeholders, which means almost the agency that I have talked about, and it should be duly approved by the government and backed by the necessary budget. It must get implemented by an empowered committee. I give an example, much smaller example than what I'm talking. Project ASCON was the only project of strategic importance which went through in budget, in time, because the project director ASCON was the empowered person, and he was only answerable to the Defense Secretary. Now, if you have a committee like that to organize and implement this kind of a policy, you should be able to implement a digitized battlefield, both by the insertion of technologies, the matching organization, training, and human resource requirement. We have to take the existing assets in account and integrate those on new systems. A question which General Bali Parwar had asked, I'll cover that on the interoperability when I come to that. The second, perhaps one of the most important factor in a digitized battlefield is the electromagnetic space management. The EM space is a global common. In the present environment, it is extremely complex, crowded, and needs to be managed and regulated dynamically in real time. The situation is much more challenging in a digitized battle space environment, where practically every system, starting from a diesel generator to a missile system, requires spectrum to operate, or else contributes noise, which restricts the availability of electromagnetic space. Add to this the high power of various radars, communication systems, and electronic warfare systems, and the fact that the same resource is being used by the adversary and all our civilian networks. It has been estimated that there would be approximately 15,000 emitters in a space of 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers. Insertion in a public-private partnership mode backed by simple procedures based on trust and accountability. That is the challenge as far as technology is concerned. And each of these gentlemen that I've read, China's got it. So I'm just drawing a parallel to the adversary and how prepared they are. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I have listed major challenges that we face in having true digital battlefield capability, which is centric to a 21st century warfare. Each of the challenges mentioned by me is a subject by itself and would require detailed treatment by the services, experts, and policymakers to provide our nation the capabilities in tune with our doctrine. It's a gigantic task which will require a very committed leadership at all levels. In fact, they should read committed and informed leadership at all levels. The biggest challenge remains our cumbersome procedures and lack of unified thinking. We need to judge where we stand today and what we have to do so quickly to bridge the gaps. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir, for articulating this complex subject in a most lucid manner. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I will not take long, but just to summarize that General Devendra Kumar, rightly as I said in the beginning, because of his in-depth knowledge and experience, he has virtually brought out all that matters for the digitized battlefield. Those 12 challenges, as he says, are subject by themselves. Therefore, I will not labor to say anything more about those individual aspects. But two, three things I wish to bring to the knowledge of the panelists as well as all those who are very keenly watching the development in this field may be keen to know as to what is happening to achieve, if not all those 12 challenges, some of them which are in order of priority ranks much higher, while the others, for the reasons that you can't handle all together, will take place by and by as we move forward. The first and foremost, as our predecessors here in the same Director General of Information System for the Army have done a yeoman service by putting in place so many things which goes to bring this entire integrated framework into place. You'll be happy to know, sir. As far as the integration part is concerned, those aspects that you mentioned, whether it was related to the data, symbology, your structures, dictionary, all those aspects are more or less are in place now, at least for the Army. And we were fortunate with the phase 1 systems all being in place today in the field to have an absolutely live exercise, I would say, it's not a demonstration, wherein the entire range of these activities were factored in, tried out, and for the benefit of all those who wish to know that they have been absolute success. So a major achievement, if I may say, sir, in the field of integration of all these systems for the digitized battlefield. I think we are moving fast and moving in the right direction. In order to address the macro aspects of the NCW, that is networks and the applications, the ills are known to all of you, but to address them at a macro level and bring them into a kind of a synergized framework, I would say, that the two agencies, as far as the defense and the army is concerned, I would say, have been again streamlined, probably first time in the last so many decades. And now to ensure that the networks do not pose the problems, especially in the tactical domain, Signal Officer in Chief, SONC hereafter, beside being responsible to those levels that we are aware, will now be responsible down to the soldier level as far as the networks and communication is concerned. Therefore, we should not be having the burden of the past, wherein you are struggling to make sure your network supports you end to end. Coming to the applications to ride over the networks, that will be now centralized under the Director General of Information Systems, unlike in the past where we had, for reasons of expediency or otherwise, distributed among 3-4 major players in the Army headquarters. Coming to the next important aspect that the General mentioned was on policy and the roadmap. While vision has been laid out as part of the Indian Army doctrine, as for the Army is concerned, so is for the Defence Forces. Let me say, since we do not have an active member here on the dais or maybe in the audience here, but Air Force and Navy are moving very well, very structured manner. So is the Army today, with the vision laid out in the Indian Army doctrine. The policies that needed to cement the aspect that General D. Kumar brought out to you all, number of them have been now addressed, and hopefully those all problems that we were all seized with should not be recurring hereafter. That policy part has been more or less brought under control, and therefore the roadmap to have the systems in place is not very far. Empowerment for the organization is another part which, alongside the Director General of Information System, I'm referring essentially the Army because I can talk with authority, is also on its way, and I think the kind of organization that the ESCON and all have enjoyed in the past, something on those lines is materializing. IP addressing, as I said at the beginning, the networks having gone to the SONC end-to-end, the induction of IP and its all associated aspects, I think will be in place, if not very late, quite soon. DRDO setup. And therefore, the situational awareness and the common operational picture, the two most important part or the factors that the defense forces are looking for, with the integrated fielding of the exercise that I mentioned a little while back, I think we have been able to achieve a major success with the limited scope and the resources that we employed. But it gave us the confidence now that whatever we have planned for and what are we doing in the next phase of our endeavor in the Taxi 3I or BMS should be moving in the right direction. And lastly, among the 12, I would say the security, although the next speaker will be talking about it. This aspect is again absolutely top on the shelf as far as we are concerned in DGIS with the SONC, and DRDO in tow, I think we are moving in a direction where we should have the end-to-end security for our networks, for the information in storage or in transit, fairly taken control of. Where we are not been able to make much headway in some of the challenges, I think we'll have to wait for the reasons of necessity that probably time will not permit to address all 12 or such like challenges at the same time. But I wish to assure General D. Kumar and the majority of the audience here that we are on track. Thank you very much, sir, once again, and I'll call upon the next